officially recording. Got Andrew out of Jacksonville with us today. How's it going, buddy?
I'm living the dream, my friend. Not a complaint in the world.
I love it, dude. You're standing up. You're hyped up on Mountain Dew or coffee. Got the epic shirt on.
Yes.
Flexing your muscles.
Yes, man. Ready to conquer not only the day, but the world, my friend.
Nice. Put some loans in. Closed some loans already this week.
Yeah, I got 2 closings today, which starts off my month. It's a slower month for me. I've only got 9 going down this month, so it's a nice breather. Hopefully, just due to inventory issues, we feel like we're going to be probably seeing 23 to 25 a month once we break into June, and it's just going to go gangbusters through the end of the year, kind of like it did last year.
I like it, man. So you guys are feeling a little bit of the pain, too, with those offers, having to come in a little higher, multiple bids, all that stuff?
Oh, my God. If I could share my screen, I don't even know how to do it in the software, but I've got as of this morning, I have 39 pre-qualified buyers for $11.5 million out shopping, and I just can't seem to get them into homes. So we add about 5 or 6 pre-quals every week, and then take off like 3 or 4 that go into contract every week. And it's just like this grind. I mean, I'm spending my weekends phone calling listing agents to put in good words for my buyers and writing letters to listing agents, whatever we can do to get an offer accepted, which makes buyers grateful and ultimately seals the deal for you continuing to get their business, and kind of keeps them out of their rate shopping pool.
Well, and that's kind of why we're on this call right now. I mean, we want to talk a little bit about how the heck you got up to the point where you had 40 pre-approvals sitting there. You've been in the business for a decade. I mean, this is what, year 2.5-ish?
Yeah, year 2.5. I mean, I've been licensed for 3 years, but I didn't start producing until June of 2015. So June 2015 was my first closing, and then from there, I just kind of have been stacking the business, going as fast as I can to get to my ultimate goal of a multi-$100 million producer. So I'm just working my way there.
Oh, dude, I dig it. Well, you've run businesses before. This isn't your first go around in life. It's not like you're 15 or 16. You have some.
No, I'm a kid, man. I'm 18 years old now. No, this isn't my first go around. So I own I own part of a really successful family business that me and my brother started back in '99. We're still running that business and growing that business. I also have a couple of small businesses that I'm starting and started over the past few years. But business, I run my mortgage setup very, very similar to how I've run other businesses. It's all about the numbers. It's all about knowing your numbers and knowing where you're going. I mean, I could tell you off the cuff how many applications I took last month, how many I took in March, how many of those have converted into closings. Like, knowing my numbers is key.
So you know your numbers when it comes to applications and closings, but I've talked to you. You also know how many appointments and face-to-faces and phone calls and coffee meetings it takes to get you a referral partner that's going to lead to that application, right? I mean, you've kind
right. So we've nailed it down, or I've nailed it down at this point for me to do what I want to do, which is 20 closings a month, 250 a year. That's where that's not going to be this year's goal. This year's goal will be 180 to 200 closings. Next year, I really want to get to that 250 mark. For me to hit there, I need to do 100 applications a month. At 100 applications a month, which is a 1003 and a credit pull. If I do 100 applications per month, I will end up averaging 21 closings per month. And in order for me to get to that 100 applications mark, that's really the sweet spot. At 100 applications, I need to be working with my current caliber of realtors I work with. I need to be working with 60 realtors. If I have 60 realtors on and off sending me business in an ebb and flow fashion, I will end up with 100 applications. At 100 applications, I'll end up with 21 closings. And for me to get to my 60 realtors, I have to have 14 outbound conversations per day. Is really what I've broken it down to for me to get there. Because at 8 outbound conversations per day, I ended up with 37 realtors last year. And so doubling it up this year, we're going to go to 14 outbound conversations to get to 60 realtors to get to the 100 applications.
I like that. And I was actually talking to our branch yesterday about building lists and keeping track of how many partners we have that are pretty loyal. And we realized that we didn't have a strong grasp on what that actual number was. You know what your exact number is.
I do, yeah.
It's kind of you're either with me or you're not in your world, right?
Yeah, I mean, and some of it's an ebb and flow. I don't intentionally ever chase real estate agents that are in that 50 to 70 million plus range. The whales, the monster producers. That isn't my cup of tea. Some in-house lenders do very, very well with that. They buy into that market and they play that game. It's just not what I aim for. What I aim for is is kind of that real estate agent that is either brand new in the business that I really feel like has potential.
Look at that, listen, I'm forcing you to learn.
Or the real estate agent that's doing anywhere from 8 to 30 transactions a year. That's my target area. So last year I closed 121 loans, and 121 loans came from 37 different realtors. And kind of my ideology behind it is if I would happen to lose one of those realtors due to a denial or something, or sometimes they can be extremely petty, not all of them, but sometimes it can happen, and they let you go over something petty. You don't lose 40% of your business with one fell swoop. You lose a fraction of it, and it's very easy to replace. And that's kind of my method.
Well, plus if you're only focusing on 3 to 4 transactions per agent per year, you have there's less back and forth over personalities. I mean, you don't have to necessarily get that close to them all day, every day either.
No, and there's a lot of coaching methods out there that talk about how often you should reach out and touch your realtors. And case in point is the core coaching, and no knock against it. It works for some people phenomenally. But what I've found in some of those coaching methodologies is that real estate agents aren't stupid. They will quickly grasp the concept that they're on a Monday call list when you're calling your 40 realtors, and you're going to get voicemails after about 5 times of doing it on Monday. I kind of went with a whole different methodology. I have a dry erase board in my office that's got 100 real estate agents' names on it. The 37 I worked with last year, and then some that I have no longer work with, and then a lot that I would really like to do business with. And I will go down for my 14 conversations a day, and I just kind of randomly look at it in the morning and pick out 14 names. It's not I'm calling this person every 2 weeks on a Monday at 2 p.m. No, it's more like, hey, I haven't talked to Jean in probably 2 or 3 weeks. Probably a good time to reach out to her. I haven't talked to this one for this. Hey, I saw Johnny said something about his son winning an award for the science fair yesterday on Facebook. I'm going to call and congratulate him. Just very real conversations, and they're very anti-core, where I'm not calling to pitch them. I'm not calling to say, use me as your lender. I'm calling to basically just talk with them and understand their life and my life, and talk family and talk current market and what we can do to ultimately help build their business.
Now, do you chat with them on social media with Messenger as well, or do you make sure you're physically dialing the 14 people? I mean,
solid question. Definitely something that's changed for me over the past 12 months. 12 months ago, it was all phone calls, like phone. I've actually found Facebook Messenger's working better in a lot of cases. And again, knowing your demographic, knowing your real estate agent and whether they're proficient on social media. If they're not, a phone call might be better. Mm-hmm. But for those agents, and you and I know the ones we're talking about that are on there posting 5-6 times a day, which is what they're supposed to be doing, it's a much smoother, easier conversation to break in via Messenger. Hey, just dropping a line, checking in, how are things going? And you also subtly will build your Facebook edge rank with them. So the next thing you post on Facebook, they're going to see, because now you have a personal relationship connection with them. So I do a lot of Facebook Messenger. I'm actually very, very heavy in Snapchat as well. I've got almost 500 people now that follow me on Snapchat, and probably 200 of them are local millennial real estate agents. And so I'll send Snapchat videos to them, asking them how their weekend's going. If they've got any open houses going on, I can drop by. Those type of things. It totally breaks out of the methodology of the classic loan officer just dialing for dollars.
Yeah, I think you could sit here and ask 50 loan officers in this group or in other groups how many of them are using Snapchat, and they'll all laugh at you.
I mean, they can laugh all the way to the bank, and right. and I mean that because there's a very, very big real estate agent, one of the few that I really wanted to chase, a whale, one of those big agents that I've wanted for a long time. We've followed each other on Snapchat for over a year now. And I've never, hold on, let me mute my phone. It's going to ding at me the whole time here. I've never really asked this person for business. But one day on Snapchat, I'd seen that they had posted. And so I was just like, quick video. And I just, 30-second video. Hey, just wanted to drop a line and say, I feel like I'm being a bad loan officer to not tell you that I desperately want your business. I know we've been following each other here for a long time. But you got to understand, from my point of view, I think you're awesome, and I think we could do great things together. And frankly, I feel like we're doing a disservice to the entire city by you and I not working together, because you're awesome and I'm awesome. So let's do business. And I sent the video, and I was like, well, what the hell? Let's see what happens. And I got a response back about 2 minutes later with a video that said, I've actually just been wondering if you'd ever asked me for business. And over the course of the past 6 months, we've closed probably a dozen deals together. So if you think Snapchat isn't the place to go, it works. People love to see people doing things other than just working. You know, people love to see your real life of who you really are. Unless you're a dark, devious person, put it out there a little bit.
Yeah, and it just comes down to the evolution of communication. I know we've heard that in other circles, and you know, people communicate differently now than they have in the past. So
agreed.
Phone and dialing them, it can work, and there's agents that's the best method for sure. But there are a whole new generation of folks coming along that are totally cool with us messaging back and forth and texting, Snapchat, whatever the heck the method is. When you communicate with them the way they want to communicate with, and you stay in front of them. I mean, I dig it. I like how you put the agents on a board though. So it's not, you know, oh, I've got this CRM and my marketing person has put them in the canned response email. And then, you know, we have some scripts that we got from a book that we use to call them. I mean, you're human with them, dude. I'm not trying to rip on those other guys, people that use those systems, but
you know, I said it in the comments last night, and I'll say it here. You know, for me, I am not a gimmick guy. Like for me, if you're a loan officer watching this and you're not making $30,000 to $50,000 a month, and you're happy with that, I'm thrilled with you. Like that's great. That's phenomenal. And stay where you're at. But if you really want to get to these levels where you're doing $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 months, there has to be a certain level that you have to go to of willingness to really grind it. I know when I got into this business, I decided I'm chasing real estate agents. I'm not going to be a lead gen guy. I'm not doing refis. Last year, my 121 closings was 120 of them were purchase and 120 of them were referral based. So I am all referral, and it's either past client at this point or it's real estate agent that refer me. And I just decided when I got into this thing, I'm going after real estate agents. And my methodology was I went to 700. I mean, I didn't track it to the number, but about 700 open houses in 7 months to meet real estate agents. I had a stack of business cards this tall on my desk of real estate agents that I'd met. And then I would follow up and I would follow up and I would follow up. And the more rapport was built, the more communication opened up with those people. And, you know, walking into an open house, you're not going to get business that way, but you can become a household name when 300, 400, 500 real estate agents in your market know your face. They know how you speak, how you feel, your energy. It's not just a phone call conversation. They've met you now. And then you walk into a networking event 3 weeks later, and there's 12 of the 50 people there you've already met. You're not the lone guy in the room walking into a networking event trying to, you know, hand out business cards to everybody. Now you can walk over and say, hey, what's up, John? I saw you last weekend. How's everything going? Did the house sell? You got an entrance point. And so for me, it was open houses. It's networking events. I mean, my wife and I just had this borderline argument 10 minutes ago of she saw on Facebook, I'm going to the first Fin Friday here in Jacksonville on Friday night. And she was like, are you really going to take your Friday night and go to a networking event? I'm like, I mean, yeah, I really am. I'll try and get home as soon as I can. But the reality is I'm not going to miss an opportunity to network with people that could send me business and ultimately make me money.
Absolutely. Well, there's two concepts that come out of that. It's that idea of building a brand, you know, in this case, your brand is your personal face.
Correct.
And building an audience. I mean, your audience is the realtors of Jacksonville. So you said, well, let's figure out who my audience is and let's make sure they know who I am. And, you know, at some point though, you got to stand for something. So let's talk about that next.
Okay.
Because I know people in my market that's all they do is shake hands all day, every day, and they don't hit the levels that you do. How do you stand out? How do you build this reputation? I guess there's two things, reputation and brand. But you know, in some way, shape, or form, you got to get them to recognize that you stand for something and that you're going to help them with their business, right?
Yeah. So again, I'm a super long-winded guy, so cut me off at any point because I'll ramble here for a minute. But so building trust is one of the toughest things, and a loan officer to loan officer, that's one of the toughest things in our business is building trust, because you're walking into a real estate agent and asking them to trust you with their paycheck, and they don't know you from Adam. And so it's a very, very tough situation to walk into. But, you know, for me, number one, is never being afraid of hard work, never being afraid of like, I was the guy when I joined this industry 2.5 years ago, man, my days were not spent by the pool reading books. My days were spent by the pool reading the 26-7. Like I literally printed the VA handbook. I printed the 4155 at that point. I printed the 4000.1 and I read those suckers back to back. I know my guidelines. So when I tell someone, I'm going to get your deal done, I get their deal done. Like last year out of the closings I did, I didn't have a single denial all year. That builds reputation. So number one, work hard and know your products. But also working with real estate agents and social media is a big part of it. But putting yourself out there as a knowledge base that is willing to help real estate agents close their deals, whether you make a penny on it or not. That's probably one of the biggest things that changed my business. It was, I would go into these open houses and I would sell me, hey, I'm here because I want your business. And it didn't work. Like I didn't get business from those open houses. Now, over time, I built rapport with a lot of the agents I met there and got their business because they saw so much buzz about me on social media and all these places. But I changed it up, and what really started to just drive me business. And if you wonder, I still go to open houses. I still take my Saturday, and I live in a master community that's got almost 4,000 homes. I'll drop by 5 or 6 open houses on a weekend. And my methodology is totally different now. I walk in and I'm like, hey, I'm Andrew. I live right around the corner. Just saw your open house sign. Wanted to drop in. I don't even change my clothes. I go in with a swimsuit on. I'm like, just wanted to drop in, introduce myself as a local loan officer. I've closed almost 300 homes in the Jacksonville area in the past 3 years. I'm super proficient at what I do. And I want you to have my business card with my cell phone number on it. And if you ever have a question on a mortgage-related issue, whether it's my deal or not, just call me. I don't care if it's 9 o'clock at night. I don't care if it's a Saturday or Sunday. If you have a problem with a file, you can't get a hold of the other loan officer, just call me and I'll be available just to answer any questions for you. And the shock on people's face that I am standing there offering my cell phone number when I'm going to get nothing out of it has totally changed it. Like I'm getting real estate agents that call me. They take me up in the offer. I got invited to a closing 2 weeks ago where I saved a veteran's deal. It was a very, very complicated situation. And it was so awkward because I stepped in, called the regional loan center, pulled some strings, talked to the LPO, talked to the LGO, finally got a waiver issued for a file that wasn't mine. And I got invited to go to closing, and the buyers gave me a bottle of bourbon at closing and not their loan officer. And it was a super awkward closing. But
was the loan officer there?
He was there. Him and I both sat at the same side of the table, and the buyer was courteous to him, but they shook my hand, thanked me, gave me a bottle of bourbon, said we couldn't have done it without you. But the interesting thing is the real estate agent that called me in is a major producer in town, called me into her office the next day and walked me around and introduced me to every single agent in her office personally and said, I am here to introduce Andrew to you. He's the VA guru. And I have $6,000 in my pocket today that I would not have had if I hadn't called him. And that was her introduction to me. And I mean, my stack of business cards from that office that day is like, and I have another 15, 18 people that I'm back in contact with, added every one of them to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, invited them to like my YouTube channel. If I could find them on Snapchat, I've added them. And now they're seeing me post speed alerts on Facebook. They're seeing me post pictures of my daughter on Instagram. They see me as a father. They see me as a real guy, but they see me as someone who's willing and able to go out and help them earn more money.
I like it, dude. And that's what I watch you do differently than a lot of us in the last 6 months. You're building this audience and you're building it socially.
Very much.
But you're being intentional as well. But you realize I've got to have a good size targeted audience. And okay, now I'm going to narrow that down to my 100 or my 50 realtors or whatever the heck it is. But I got to stand for something, or I'll fall for anything. Right. So you stand for, well, I'm the guy that is available. I'm the guy that knows what I'm doing. Now, a lot of LOs are out there saying the same thing, but they're not saying it with the same amount of intensity that you are. They're not staying in front of their
I'm a passionate guy. What can I say?
Right. Well, they're not staying in front of their audience like you are. And they're not asking for the business. I mean, you talked about the big hitter in town, how you went out and you directly asked him for business.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us here, we ask for business first before we even make a relationship, or we make a relationship and we never ask for business. one of the two things. So,
right. And it's like the real estate agent that adds you on Facebook and immediately 5 minutes later says, like my business page.
Right.
And I'll do it because I'm a loan officer, but I'm not liking their business page because I think they're awesome.
Right.
And so, I mean, just, you nailed it when you said intentional. Like, I very, very, very rarely post anything on social media without intention behind it. There's always intention. There's always some kind of a driving force of where I want to go with this post to drive my edge rank here so I can post this post. There's a very big strategy behind it. But you're absolutely right in that. I mean, you got to be intentional in what you do, and you got to stay in front of your audience constantly. And some of it's, trivial. Some of it, man, I was talking to another loan officer a few weeks back. There's not like a recipe for the secret sauce. There's no like, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to make this much money. But I can promise you there is a blend of meeting real estate agents face-to-face at open houses. So they are away from their broker, they're away from their secretary, they're away from their in-house lender. Open houses face-to-face, you're one-on-one, 95% of the time they're bored. And so they're sitting around on a rainy Sunday, meeting them at networking events, following up on social media, and then having them see you active in social media and interacting with their colleagues. There's a certain methodology between those four things that just come together, and it's a snowball. There's no other way to describe it. It starts to roll. I looked at my numbers this year, and I truly felt like my first quarter was abysmal. I was like, man, I'm never going to hit my $40 million goal, my 200 closings this year, because I only closed like $6 million in my first quarter. And I'm like, man, 6 times 4 is only 24. I'm right on track for last year. But I went back and I looked at my numbers from last year, and I hit 24 million last year, but I only did 3 million in the first quarter. So I'm doubling up already. And like I said, it's a snowball. It just starts rolling. And when it starts rolling, that's when it actually gets interesting, because now I'm having to add structure and staff and make sure my staff treats my clients with the same level of courtesy and enthusiasm and power that I do. Otherwise, this is going to be a slow-lived snowball that's going to melt really quickly in hell, and it will not be good. So I'm definitely walking into new roads that I never would have expected at this point.
Well, one thing I've noticed that you've done, and, I guess I'll just compliment you from afar, but I also want to remind the other LOs in here is when you hit that hurdle, when you hit that hump, I mean, it's cool to have all the intensity in the world, but at some point you're going to burn out and you need other people around you. You just can't grow without it. So when you're looking for those other skills, what do? Well, you lean on some of the people that have been there before. You talk to LOs that like,
absolutely.
Trust. You go to your company, let them know what's going on. I mean, you keep that business mind open. You're constantly reading. You're constantly analyzing and discussing what the best road is for yourself. You're not just running in at full speed, run and gun, like machine gun style, and just, okay, I heard you. All right, let's go. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. You realize that you have to change your skill set up a little bit. You also have to be the manager guy now, and not just the sales guy, breadwinner that just brings it in. And that's hard for me. Trust me. I mean, I'm sitting in a room with my branch right now, which is in chaos, and I'm watching my LOs stare at me going, dude, what's going on? And because I have office space across the street that's not ready yet. We got like 2 weeks to go, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same challenge as you. Like, what are we doing for office for the next 2 weeks? And how do we get this one loan closed? And how the hell do I get this big Marine guy like in office that's separated so he can just go shoot?
Oh man, is that a John Wayne American flag?
It's a John Wayne American flag.
I mean, that almost trumps my American flag, and I love my American flag. So yes, transitioning into management is incredibly difficult, but it's working. I've got I could not speak high enough of my staff, but you touched on something I actually want to elaborate on. You touched on not being afraid to change your role, and that's really one of the reasons I wanted to do this video. Is because I came into this group and I did a very controversial post after I had sat back very silent and just watched some other loan officers in here basically say, if you rely on real estate agents for business, you suck at your job. And I just kind of shut my mouth and I'm like, okay. And then I keep seeing these reoccurring posts and I just wanted to address it. And so I basically said, I feel like if you have to say that all the time, then you probably have phone fear and you're a sucky salesman, which is probably a little harsh. But the reality is, myself included, not a single one of us in our industry can get complacent. I can't rely on my open houses and my social media to carry me for the next 5 to 10 years. Our roles are changing as loan officers. They're changing by the hour. And if you're primarily been refi, you're in purchase now. And your role changed. If you've been primarily a lead-based person and you're actually really against chasing realtors, I get that and understand and respect your opinion on it. But you better not be afraid to open that mindset to change your roles. I'm not afraid of buying leads, not for a second. If I see my real estate business start to transform at all, I'm going to buy leads in a heartbeat. But both sides of the aisle really need to be open to that, because it can change on a heartbeat for us. And for me, I feel like any loan officer out there that is just chasing leads and basically saying, I will not brown nose a realtor, I will not suck up to a realtor. Sure, there's a certain pride level there, but you are leaving an insane amount of commission on the table. You're leaving insane amount of your kids' college retirement on the table. I'm not sitting here brown nosing realtors, but I promise you, for the size of some of my paychecks, I would. Like, unequivocally, I would. I'm not going to be that guy. Frankly, I just canceled an appointment on a real estate agent a few minutes ago that it was a really frustrating deal. They stood me up and wanted to meet again. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just bend over backwards. But at the same time, if I have a real estate agent that's willing to send me 10 to 15 deals, warm handoff into my hands every year, why would I not wine and dine that? Why would I not caretake that relationship and spend 2 to 3 hours a year nurturing that relationship? That'd be absolutely ludicrous to walk away from that potential. So I would implore anyone that is against realtor business, maybe a slight shift in mindset would be open. And I'm not opposed to having a slight shift in mindset to walking towards leads either.
Totally get it. Some of the guys that are doing a really good job with the leads have all of a sudden noticed, oh, my lead ads are getting shut down. And, this model that I had is all of a sudden costing more money. And I watched a post just a couple of days ago where folks were talking about how they used to do Google ads, and all of a sudden the algorithms changed and the big players came in, and their whole model, maybe it was based on trigger leads, maybe it was based here. And I know a lot of the folks I've talked to over the last year that have been in the business a long time always suggest having a well-rounded plan, having multiple pillars and multiple sources.
Agreed.
But almost all of them that have been in the game more than a couple days will tell you, you should have a big component that's related to relationships from influencers like real estate agents. I mean, they're a huge influencer, and they help you co-sell the borrowers on working with you. You and I both know I'd much rather have somebody that's pretty much told they have to work with me because otherwise it's going to fall apart. I mean, some of my agents, that's how they approach it. Yeah, I know you're working with so-and-so, but it's going to be a complete disaster unless you go with Mike. Go with Mike. Simple.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you can tell the really good real estate agents handoffs.
Yep.
Like some of them are like, hey, they told me to call you, so I'm just calling. Other ones are like, hey, my realtor said you're the best thing since sliced bread, and I need to call you. So yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I think anybody that's lead based right now needs to really open their eyes, because you look at the statistics on what percentage of business, Movement Mortgage, Loan Depot, Fairway, the big players, Quicken, what percentage of business they did last year that was refinance versus purchase. Almost every one of the big players had more refinance business than purchase business last year. And we are seeing refinance transactions down 15% year over year, which means that they are changing their model. So you may be paying $3 a click right now on Google AdWords, but I'll tell you, when Google throws $500,000 or $1 million or $10 million or $40 million into Google AdWords to take your leads, you're going to wish you had some seriously backed up relationships where you have proved yourself to real estate agents that can say, oh my gosh, yeah, you're with Quicken. I get it, and I can't steer you, but I can tell you that very few listing agents will take a Quicken pre-qualified letter at face value. You're going to need to go with a local lender.
Yep, and that's definitely part of it. And once you build those relationships with the realtors, I mean, you can certainly tell who's already good at it, but you can also train your realtors how to refer you better. I mean, that's been
absolutely
my challenges over the last couple of years. I work with a lot of realtors that, just like you, are going to send me 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 deals a year. I've had to work really hard to train them how to refer me. And, I go back to, hey, I know you tell me a lot of buyers are coming in pre-approved, but do those buyers really know, like, and trust the loan officer they're working with? I mean, does it go smooth with them? Does it go smooth with you? Well, not always. Okay, well, how about let's talk about how do we get that customer to talk to somebody who's going to take care of them? Because ultimately that's your brand on the line as well.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, one little change I made that made a world of difference is I tell all my real estate, I just met with one this morning, a brand new real estate agent that was uber successful in her last job. She's an animal. She's going to be phenomenal in this market. And I met with her this morning. We've already got 2 pre-quals together. She started 2 weeks ago. She's insane. But I just told her, I said, hey, just a suggestion for the future. Why don't you use this phrase? Instead of saying, hey, will you call my lender? Why don't you just say, hey, can I have my lender call you?
Mm-hmm.
That little change right there puts me and her in control of the entire transaction and takes the control away from the buyer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, can I have my lender call you? Boom. Totally changes everything. Now I can chase that guy. Boom, boom, boom. And it's done. So little things like that are huge. And so, I mean, I don't feel like I'm any great guy in the lending industry. I feel like I'm just cracking the surface of where I want to be. I understand that I probably am doing more business than some, and I'm humbled by it. But for me, a lot of this comes down to the adage of if you work with the masses, you live with the elite. And if you work with the elite, you live with the masses. And that's really why I focus my intentional driving to get business are those real estate agents that are 8 to 20 transactions a year. Because if I can get 50 to 60 of those to send me 3 to 4 deals a year each, game over.
I like it. Well, you're focusing on a market that's big enough to allow you to hit your goals. And
correct.
That's, you already know what your ideal customer is.
That is correct.
Some of these high-level marketing and sales exercises, they want you to figure out your ideal customer. Your ideal customer is a realtor. Your ideal customer works with a lot of veterans. Your ideal customer is somebody who you can get 700 of in your market area, and you only need to really find about 100 to actually get that close of a connection. It's a good plan. So
it is, and not every real estate agent is going to like me. I'm like you had said earlier. I'm an extremely outgoing, loud, borderline obnoxious sometimes personality.
Oh, and absolutely. Me too. I mean, you and I butted heads at times, and we told each other to F off. I mean, that's
literally literally. Yeah. For you guys that don't know, like Michael and I have been frenemies on and off for 3 years now. Like there were points where I had blocked him on Facebook, and I'm pretty sure he'd blocked me, and he had booted me out of groups, and I had booted him out of groups. But
I sent him the reality is mail. I tried to make up.
He did. He sent me good to goodies, but we're good now. So. But yeah, for every real estate agent that I'm going to turn off, I don't want to be a mellow guy. This is who I am. Like I'm on crack 24/7. It's called life. Like, dear God, this is just me. And for every real estate agent I turn off, and I've had people tell me, oh my God, I just can't handle you. Great. We're not a fit. Because I'm going to find 1 or 2 for everyone that hates me. I'm going to find 1 or 2 that thrive on my energy. And so if you're not that person, don't become that person. If it's not who you are, find people that match your energy, that match your style, and go and chase them. And you have to be relentless. Like this business, if you get discouraged after 3 months in because you're not having your first $1 million month, man, you gotta put your dang nose at the grindstone and work harder. This is not a gimmick trick. I'm so sick and tired of loan officers calling me and they're like, hey, tell me your secrets of how you got to where you're at. And I'm like, sure, I'll spend 20 minutes of my day and I will tell you everything. I've got a phone call tomorrow with a loan officer I've never met, messaged me on Facebook, said, dude, I want to pick your brain. And I'm like, sure, call me. Now, I can't do that with everybody, but if I have an opening in my calendar, I'm a giving guy. But that loan officer better not call me back in a week and say, man, dude, you've got to check out the new app I found. You've got to use this for your business. No, quit giving me your bullshit gimmicks. Work harder. Like, how many open houses did you visit last weekend? That's what I want to know. I want to know how many real estate agents you've talked to in the past 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Know your numbers. Go back, look at your history. Go back. I mean, it took me almost a full day at one point. I went back and I tracked every application I've taken since 2015, and I made a count of how many per month I took the applications. And then I went back and I filtered it down by how many closed. So I know that 21% of my credit pulls walk into a closing room. And psychologically, what that did for me is I never am tripped up by 10 applications in a row of 400 credit scores. Like for the longest time, new in the business, man, I was like, dang it, I just keep getting bad leads. It's so frustrating. Now I'm just like, man, 21% closed, so it doesn't matter. All I need to do is hit 100 apps. I don't care if I have 10 in a row that have bad credit. it's 10 out of my 100 because if I take 100 credit pulls, the averages don't lie. I'll close 21 loans.
Can I put an asterisk on that though? Because the way you're getting your leads is a good method. There are some LOs that will have 100 credit pulls, but not get the apps because they've got the zero down credit repair angle to their business.
And that may work for them. That's not my business.
But that's what I'm saying is that when you are seeing the low credit scores, but it's not because you're asking for it. You haven't said that that's my ideal customer. My ideal customer needs credit repair, is a first-time buyer and has no money. There's some LOs, and this is what I want to point out to all you guys. This is the fish lesson. If that's what you keep saying on all your advertising, then that's your ideal customer. That's what you have put out to the world, and that's what you're getting back in return. So. Right,
and someone needs to handle those clients, and I'm thankful that people do, but I don't want to take 200 credit pulls for 50 closings. No. Like to me, that's just miserable. In fact, I mean, I have some of my competition in my market that are going to watch this video. I'm unashamed. I'm a vanilla lender. I've done one jumbo in my entire career. I don't focus on jumbo. If I had a great jumbo product, I would. My jumbo products they're par for the course. They're probably what Movement has and what some of the other big players. That's not my target. My target isn't down payment assistance. I don't do down payment assistance. I referred out to another loan officer here in town with another bank. Not my cup of tea. Some lenders do great at it. I don't do renovation. I refer that out. For me, I refer out an equal amount of business that I get in, and I don't get a lot in return. The only thing I really get in return is mobile homes because for some reason people found out I can do those things, and that's like oh Lord. Yeah.
Enough of that. All right. So we'll close it out on that. But I guess I would add one thing. Who would you say is the number one lender when everybody does the math, nationwide? I mean, it goes back and forth, but could be the Rocket, right?
Yeah.
Do they sell anything that's not vanilla?
No.
Nope.
No. And again, it's working with the masses. You live with the elite. Yep. And if you work, I mean, sure, there's riches and niches. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's watching this, our veterans are insanely disserved. And I'll say this: if you're looking to jump into VA loans, before you make it your go-to product, you need to print the 26-7 out. And if you don't know what the 26-7 is, you need to find another job. If you print the 26-7 out, I need to read that sucker cover to cover 2 to 3 times until you know the product, because I'm sick and tired of seeing our vets disserved. I'm sick of it. It drives me nuts. I frankly am I picked up probably a dozen loans this year from one YouTube video I did on private road agreements. Now, can I do all those loans? No, because they're in Washington and they're in Montana and Hawaii. I'm farming them out to other loan officers that can get them. But there are so many bad VA lenders out there under the VA name. And for me, what I did is I made myself a VA guru by truly studying the guidelines, joining a group called MMBC, and actually learning so much about VA that I am confident to call myself a VA guru. I'm confident in it. And so when I do that, I took my VA business. In 2016, I closed $1.6 million in VA business. In 2017, I closed $9.7 million in VA business. And the only difference I did is I branded myself the VA guru. I understood my product. I closed loans for others that couldn't do it. And I went and I did about 8 2 to 3 minute videos on just breaking down the stupid old school methodology of what people think about VA loans. So if you want to pick a niche, but our veterans are disserved. So before you pick that niche, you better know what you're doing.
Well, you just gave away our big secret. People call us from MBC. We tell them right away, the first thing you got to do is go read the 26-7.
I didn't mean to give away your secret. I'm just sick of it, man. It's like,
dude. No, like Jan,
drives me nuts.
Say that. We're like the preachers. We didn't write the Bible. We're standing in front of the congregation telling you to read it, right?
Pastor Jay.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Well, we're tied up about 40 minutes. I'm going to go replay this in the group. I had a couple people already like, oh, my God, I want to see Andrew live. So one of these days I will be better at live technology. Sorry, guys.
Well, hey, maybe we get together sometime and do a real hash out in person. That'd be all sorts of fun.
Yeah, well, that would be good. That would be good.
But hey, if anybody – go ahead.
I was just going to say maybe, you guys could help us figure out how to do something in Florida one of these days. We'll figure it out.
Dude, I'm all about it. But, hey, if anybody wants to follow me on social media, it's at Epic Mortgage Guy on every social media platform other than YouTube because I can't change it yet. Not enough subscribers.
I dig it, bud. Well, everybody, we'll let you get back to your day. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. If anybody needs to find you, they know where to find you. We appreciate your contribution to the LO community today. Wish you a ton of luck. We'll maybe check in with you in 6 to 9 months to see how it's going, bud.
All right, man. Take care. See you.
See you, bud.